We are counting down the 25 lost Thanksgiving side dishes that once defined Grandma's holiday table. From Technicolor gelatin rings and marshmallow salads to savory casseroles born of wartime rationing ingenuity, these vanished recipes reveal the surprising history behind America's most nostalgic feast. Some are so quirky or so delicious that you might want them back this year. So which classic deserves a comeback? Let's rediscover the tradition, starting with number 25. Number 25th, Sunshine Carrot Mold. This dish looked like pure celebration on Grandma's table, whether you loved it or groaned. Born in the early 1950s in Betty Crocker booklets and passed down on handwritten recipe cards, this bright yellow ring blends lemon Jell-O, grated carrots, crushed pineapple, and a handful of pecans. As refrigerators became household staples, ownership doubled between 1947 and 1957, and home cooks embraced make-ahead salads that could chill for hours, freeing up oven space for the turkey. Sunshine. Carrot mold was a showpiece, its translucent glow promising something fresh and sweet in a sea of casseroles. The flavor is a curious mix, tart citrus with juicy pineapple and a gentle crunch from carrots and nuts. For many families, the Jell-O salad was a must, even if everyone claimed to groan when it appeared. Its cheerful color and wobbly shape became a signature of mid-century Thanksgivings, even as tastes drifted toward fresher greens and the mold quietly slipped from most menus. Number 24, the Cranberry Jewel Ring. This dish owes its place on the Thanksgiving table to the marketing muscle of General Foods in the late 1950s. By 1957, Jell-O test kitchens were churning out recipes designed to dazzle, and the Cranberry Jewel Ring became a centerpiece in their holiday campaign. The mold had a deep ruby color and a glossy finish that made it a showstopper, promising a sweet tart bite of cranberry, pineapple, and chopped nuts suspended in shimmering gelatin. Grocery stores ran in-store demos, magazines ran full-page ads, and recipe booklets landed in millions of homes. Throughout the 1960s, gelatin salads like this one were so popular that nearly every mid-century cookbook and family memoir describes at least one molded salad at Thanksgiving. But as tastes shifted in the 1970s, sales of these jewel-toned rings slid, and the once ubiquitous cranberry mold slowly vanished from holiday spreads. Still, for anyone flipping through a vintage recipe box, the Cranberry Jewel Ring is a gentle reminder of an era when corporate kitchens set the menu and made Jell-O salads feel essential. At number 23, mock oyster dressing. It was born out of necessity during World War II when rationing made real oysters a rare luxury on the American table. In 1943 and 1944, the USDA encouraged home cooks to stretch holiday meals by swapping expensive ingredients for clever substitutes. Eggplant, with its mild flavor and soft texture, became the star of this thrifty stuffing. Chopped and seasoned with celery, onion, and a splash of brine, eggplant could almost pass for shellfish when baked with cubes of bread and fresh herbs. Newspaper columns and USDA extension. Leaflet 176 offered guidance on making the most of what you had, promising that mock oyster dressing was just as tasty as the real thing for less money. For families trying to keep tradition alive on a tight budget, this dish brought the comfort of stuffing with a hint of the sea. Once rationing ended, the recipe quietly faded from most tables, but it stands as a tribute to wartime ingenuity and the creativity of home cooks determined to serve something special even in lean times. Number 22, pineapple pecan sweet potato puff. This dish captures the spirit of mid-century kitchen creativity. In the late 1950s, home cooks loved experimenting with new flavors, and this casserole brought together mashed sweet potatoes, crushed pineapple, and chopped pecans for a sweet, savory blend that felt both familiar and bold. Recipes like this often showed up in church cookbooks and local contests, where a clever twist on a classic could earn a spot in the community spotlight. Some sources claim it was a Pillsbury Bake-Off finalist in 1956, but careful digging through contest records and lists compiled by food historians turns up no official mention of it on the big stage. Still, its story lives on through family recipe boxes, especially in the South, where sweet potato dishes always found a place at the Thanksgiving table. The pineapple pecan sweet potato puff is a gentle reminder of a time when kitchen contests and community swaps shaped what landed on holiday menus, even if its fame never quite reached the national spotlight. Number 21, ambrosia salad, a bowl of pure holiday nostalgia, especially for anyone who grew up in the South. This so-called salad is a sweet jumble of canned mandarin oranges, flaked coconut, mini marshmallows, and a generous swirl of Cool Whip or sour cream. For decades, ambrosia was a fixture at Thanksgiving, especially in church basements and family gatherings where community cookbooks ruled the menu. Children loved the marshmallows. Adults sometimes pretended to protest, but the bowl always emptied by the end of the meal. In the 1960s, Good Housekeeping called it the dessert that sneaks onto the dinner plate. A Better Homes and Gardens poll showed that 56% of readers planned to serve it in 1965, but only 17% kept it on their tables by 1979. Today, ambrosia salad is mostly a memory, one that still makes some of us smile, even as we reach for the green beans. Number 20, green bean souffle, better known today as the green bean casserole. In the 1950s, this dish felt like a small kitchen revolution. It was born in the Campbell's Soup Test Kitchen in Camden, New Jersey, when home economist Dorcas Riley set out in 1955 to create a side any American cook could make with pantry staples. Canned green beans, Campbell's cream of mushroom soup, a splash of milk, black pepper, and a dash of soy sauce for depth. The crowning touch was a layer of crispy fried onions baked until golden. The souffle's appeal was all about convenience and comfort. No fancy sauces or special skills required, just open, stir, and bake. Campbell's printed the recipe on millions of soup cans, and it quickly became a fixture at Thanksgiving tables from coast to coast. Even today, Campbell's estimates that 40% of its cream of mushroom soup sales are tied to this single dish. Green bean souffle stands as the centerpiece of the mid-century casserole boom, a quiet testament to the genius of test kitchen cooks like Dorcas Riley. Number 19. Celery Victor, a name that once meant elegance on America's most ambitious holiday tables. It was first served at San Francisco's St. Francis Hotel in the early 20th century, and it became a mid-20th century symbol of fine dining, appearing in hospitality columns and hotel menus through the 1950s. The method was as refined as the result. Crisp celery batons were blanched, then marinated in a rich consomme before being set in a shimmering aspic. Each piece was arranged with care, chilled until the jelly turned glassy and firm, and served as a cool, savory starter. But as tastes shifted with the rise of television chefs and changing techniques, labor-intensive aspects like this faded away, replaced by simple sautéed vegetables and fresh salads. Today, Celery Victor is a quiet relic of a more formal era, remembered mostly by vintage recipe collectors and the occasional hotel menu reprint. Number 18. Tomato aspic, a dish that once brought a sense of modern flair to the Thanksgiving table, straight from the glossy pages of Better Homes and Gardens in 1955. Picture a ruby red loaf, firm with gelatin, made not for dessert but as a savory centerpiece. The recipe called for tomato juice, a packet of plain gelatin, a splash of lemon, and an unexpected addition: celery and sliced green olives. Chilled until set, then sliced and served with a dollop of mayonnaise. Tomato aspics was the magazine editor's answer to salads that could hold their shape and their own on a crowded buffet. In the 1950s, these molded marvels were seen as the height of convenience and sophistication, easy to prepare ahead, striking on a table, and perfect for picnics or potlucks. But as fresh salads and simpler sides took over in the decades that followed, tomato aspic faded quietly from most family menus, leaving behind only the memory of its bold, savory wobble. Number 17 is the jellied cheese ring. This dish could only have come from the creative kitchens of the 1950s, straight from the Silver Jubilee Supermarket Cookbook of 1955. It combines grated cheddar cheese, mayonnaise, chopped green pepper, and celery, all suspended in a bright lemon gelatin. Once set in a ring mold, the center is filled with crisp salad greens for serving. The result is a glossy golden circle flecked with vegetables, the kind of centerpiece that would stop traffic at a neighborhood potluck or church supper. Back then, supermarket checkout counters overflowed with pamphlets and community cookbooks promising dishes that would impress and that were as easy as boiling water. The jellied cheese ring was pure mid-century adventure, a texture mashup equal parts tangy, creamy, and crunchy, with a wobble that still makes vintage food fans smile. Today, you almost never see this on tables. It is mostly remembered as a kitsch icon, too quirky for most modern meals, but impossible to forget if you ever saw one in person. Number 16 is molded tuna salad, a dish that turned heads at church luncheons and potlucks in the late 1960s and early 1970s. This protein-packed loaf starts with lemon gelatin, then folds in canned tuna, mayonnaise, diced celery, chopped pickles, and hard-boiled eggs. Once set in a loaf pan, the salad is sliced and served on crisp lettuce, offering a cool, savory bite that's part salad, part sandwich filling. Molded tuna salad was the pride of community cookbook contributors, promising both economy and a touch of mid-century flair. For busy home cooks, it was a make-ahead miracle, affordable, easy to transport, and always ready to feed a crowd. But as the 1980s brought new ideas about freshness and flavor, this wobbly, fish-filled mold became more of a punchline than a centerpiece. Today, it lingers in the pages of vintage recipe pamphlets, a quirky reminder of the era when gelatin could hold just about anything, and convenience was king. Number 15 is turkey aspic, a dish that turned yesterday's feast into a thrifty, shimmering centerpiece. In the 1950s and the early 1960s, cooks simmered turkey bones with carrots, celery, and a handful of peppercorns, clarifying the broth until it gleamed. Gelatin, either powdered or drawn from the bones, transformed the liquid into a firm, savory jelly. Diced leftover turkey and bits of cooked vegetables were folded in, and the mixture was poured into a loaf or ring mold and chilled overnight. The texture became a dividing line at the table. Some people loved the cool, delicate slices with a dollop of mayonnaise, while others eyed them warily. The dish was praised in Ladies' Home Journal and in countless home economics columns for stretching the holiday bird just a little further, making sure nothing went to waste. As ovens filled with bubbling casseroles and warm sides, the aspic quietly slipped out of favor, remembered now as a symbol of resourceful post-feast ingenuity. Number 14, lime pineapple salad, a green jewel of the 1960s Thanksgiving table, as vivid as the Pyrex it was poured into. Lime Jell-O forms the base, its color as bright as spring grass, with pineapple tidbits and soft cubes of cream cheese swirled throughout. The effect is a marbled, almost tie-dye look that made it a favorite for potlucks and church suppers. Kids were drawn to the sweet, tangy flavor, while adults appreciated how the creamy bites mellowed the citrus punch. Recipes for lime pineapple salad appeared everywhere, in Jell-O pamphlets, community cookbooks, and handwritten recipe cards tucked into recipe boxes across the country. It was a make-ahead miracle, freeing up precious oven space for the main event. But as the years passed, concerns about artificial dyes and changing tastes nudged this salad off the holiday menu. Still, for anyone who remembers the shimmer of green on Grandma's table, lime pineapple salad is pure nostalgia, a playful, edible centerpiece that captured the spirit of a Technicolor era. Number 13, corn pudding. Corn pudding is a dish that brings pure comfort to the Thanksgiving table, especially across the South and Midwest. Unlike the crisp casseroles that crowd the buffet, corn pudding is all about silkiness. The recipe is simple: fresh or canned corn, a splash of milk, eggs, and a touch of sugar, all whisked together and baked until the center just barely sets. The result is spoonable and warm, with a gentle sweetness that makes it both side and secret dessert. In church cookbooks and home ec manuals from the 1940s through the 1960s, corn pudding appears again and again, sometimes under names like scalloped corn or baked corn custard. It was a favorite for stretching the harvest, and no holiday was complete without it nestled beside the turkey. Over time, boxed mixes and shortcut casseroles edged it out. But for anyone who remembers the soft, creamy scoop on Grandma's plate, corn pudding is a reminder of how a few humble ingredients can turn into something unforgettable. Number 12. Funeral potatoes. A casserole that means comfort and community across the Intermountain West. The name comes from its role at church gatherings, especially after funerals, when the Mormon Relief Society filled tables with pans of bubbling, golden hash browns. The recipe is pure mid-century ingenuity, using frozen shredded potatoes, cream of chicken soup, sour cream, and plenty of shredded cheddar, all stirred together and spread in a baking dish. What sets it apart is the topping, a thick layer of crushed cornflakes drizzled with melted butter, baked until crisp and deeply golden. Every scoop delivers a soft, creamy center with a satisfying crunch on top. Funeral potatoes became a staple at potlucks and family reunions, their popularity spreading through spiral-bound cookbooks and word of mouth. They offer a taste of togetherness, the kind of dish that brings people closer during both celebration and sorrow. Though still beloved in some regions, you almost never see them on Thanksgiving tables outside their home turf. Yet for anyone who grew up with them, funeral potatoes are a warm memory, proof that the best sides are sometimes the simplest, shared in the company of friends and family. Spoon bread, a Southern classic, brings a touch of elegance to the Thanksgiving table. Unlike dense cornbread or creamy puddings, spoon bread is a delicate, airy souffle made from cornmeal, milk, and a generous lift from beaten egg whites. The batter is poured into a hot, buttered dish and baked just until it puffs and jiggles, then served straight from the oven, steaming and golden. Family cookbooks from Virginia and Kentucky preserved this recipe for generations, with notes about the importance of gentle folding and perfect timing. In the days before boxed mixes, making spoon bread was a mark of real kitchen skill, a dish that demanded patience and a steady hand. It was always served hot, ladled rather than sliced, its texture lighter than any casserole. Still, as shortcuts and packaged cornbread took over, spoon bread quietly faded from most holiday spreads. For those who remember it, spoon bread is proof that a few simple ingredients, handled with care, can create something truly special, an edible reminder of Southern hospitality and the pride of doing things the old-fashioned way. Number 10. Creamed pearl onions. This side dish once defined what it meant to go the extra mile for Thanksgiving. These tiny white onions, each no bigger than a marble, were blanched, peeled, then simmered in a silky bechamel sauce until perfectly tender. Home cooks often spent hours prepping dozens by hand, fingertips tinged with the sweet, sharp scent of onion and butter. Good housekeeping photo guides from the 1950s taught readers how to coax the skins off without bruising, and home economics lessons praised the dish as a badge of culinary patience. But as frozen and pre-peeled vegetables arrived in grocery stores and quick casseroles took over, the labor of love behind this side quietly faded from most tables. Today, creamed pearl onions are a gentle reminder of the days when Thanksgiving meant rolling up your sleeves and savoring the results. Number 9. German red cabbage with apples. Slow-cooked red cabbage, thinly sliced, simmered with tart apples, onions, vinegar, and a sprinkle of sugar makes a sweet and sour braise that is both hearty and bright. This was a staple on Pennsylvania Dutch Thanksgiving tables, and recipes filled the pages of the Reading Eagle holiday menus and Pennsylvania Dutch cookbooks from the 1940s through the 1960s, where it was as expected as mashed potatoes or stuffing. At a time when immigrant families held tight to their culinary roots, the dish was more than just a vegetable. It was a taste of home and a reminder of old-world tradition carried into new American kitchens. As suburban life spread and younger generations moved away or traded handwritten recipes for store-bought shortcuts, German red cabbage with apples quietly slipped out of the mainstream. Today, it lingers mostly in family memories and the occasional church potluck, a gentle echo of the region's immigrant identity and the flavors that once defined Thanksgiving in the Northeast. Number 8. Broccoli rice casserole. This dish defines the golden age of processed cheese convenience. In the 1970s, church and school fundraiser cookbooks overflowed with variations on this hot dish, each promising a creamy, crowd-pleasing side that could be made ahead and reheated for a big family meal. The formula was simple: steamed broccoli, cooked white rice, a can of cream of mushroom or cream of chicken soup, and a generous block of Velveeta or Cheese Whiz melted into a silky sauce. Sometimes a handful of onions or a pinch of curry powder made it into the mix. But the real selling point was speed. No roux, no fuss. Just open, stir, and bake until bubbling. For a generation of home cooks, broccoli rice casserole was the ultimate shortcut, a way to serve vegetables that even picky kids would eat. As the push for fresher, less processed food took hold in the 1980s and the 1990s, this casserole lost ground to roasted broccoli and wild rice pilaf. Still, in pockets of the Midwest and the South, the dish remains a beloved classic, its creamy, cheesy comfort a reminder of a time when convenience was king and no one apologized for loving Velveeta. Number 7. Pickled beets with horseradish is a side that brings a sharp, vinegary bite to the Thanksgiving spread, straight from the era of home canning and garden harvests. The dish starts with ruby red beets, simmered until tender, then sliced and packed in jars with sugar, vinegar, and just enough grated horseradish to give each bite a gentle kick. Recipes for pickled beets traveled on family recipe cards and in ball canning booklets, passed down from mothers and grandmothers who believed in using every root and preserving flavor for the lean months. The result is a cold, tangy relish with a hint of earthiness and heat, a palate cleanser that stands out in a lineup of creamy casseroles and buttery breads. Pickled beets were once a staple on holiday tables, especially in the Midwest and rural Northeast, before year-round produce and supermarket convenience made home canning feel like a lost art. Today, they are a rare treat, a reminder of the days when Thanksgiving sides were as much about resourcefulness as they were about flavor. Number 6. Oyster dressing is a true taste of coastal Thanksgiving luxury. Long before turkey and sage stuffing became the national standard, families from New England to the Gulf Coast looked forward to a bread dressing studded with fresh or canned oysters. The recipe called for day-old bread, sautéed celery and onions, plenty of chopped parsley, and a generous pour of oyster liquor to soak everything in briny richness. Some cooks added a pinch of thyme or a splash of cream for extra depth, but the oysters were always the star, tender, savory, and just a little mysterious to landlocked guests. Newspaper menus from Boston to Mobile in the 1940s and 1950s list oyster dressing as a holiday highlight, especially in years when the catch was good and prices were within reach. Inland, though, the cost and unfamiliar flavor made it a rare treat, and by the 1970s, oyster dressing had all but vanished from most family tables. For those who remember it, the dish is pure nostalgia, a reminder of a time when Thanksgiving sides could taste like the sea. Number 5 is cornbread dressing with giblet gravy, a Southern classic that blends thrift, comfort, and deep family roots. The heart of the dish is day-old cornbread, crumbled and tossed with sautéed celery and onion, and a generous sprinkle of sage. What sets it apart is the gravy, a slow-simmered blend of the turkey's neck, heart, and liver, cooked down with broth until the flavors deepen and the meat turns tender. Grandmothers guarded their giblet simmering secrets, insisting that every part of the bird deserved a place at the table. Gravy was strained, thickened, and poured over the dressing just before serving, turning humble crumbs into something rich and golden. Recipes for cornbread dressing with giblet gravy filled the pages of Southern living and family cookbooks from the 1940s onward, each one a little different but always tied to the memory of crowded kitchens and second helpings. While boxed stuffing and jarred gravy have taken over most modern tables, this dish remains a symbol of holiday generosity and the old Southern promise that nothing goes to waste. Number 4, rutabaga mash. This simple side once grounded New England Thanksgiving tables with its earthy, comforting simplicity. In the cold months, when gardens were bare and storage bins held little but roots, rutabagas became a staple for home cooks stretching their supplies. Church cookbooks from the 1940s and World War II ration menus often featured mashed rutabaga, boiled until tender and whipped with butter, a pinch of pepper, and sometimes a spoonful of molasses or a swirl of browned butter for warmth and sweetness. The flavor is deeper and more rustic than potatoes, with a subtle bitterness that pairs beautifully with roasted turkey and rich gravies. During wartime, when white potatoes were scarce, rutabagas stepped in as a reliable substitute, filling out plates and bellies alike. Over time, as mashed potatoes took the spotlight and tastes shifted toward milder flavors, rutabaga mash quietly slipped away from most Thanksgiving menus. Yet for those who remember it, this dish is a reminder of resourcefulness, regional pride, and the comfort that comes from making the most of what is on hand. Number 3 is the emerald salad ring, a showstopper that could make even the simplest Thanksgiving table look like a page from a vintage magazine. The dish starts with lime gelatin swirled with cottage cheese or cream cheese, creating a marbled effect that is as dazzling as it is unusual. The ring's bright green color, often lined with crisp lettuce leaves, made it a centerpiece worthy of admiration and a little gossip. Recipes for the emerald salad ring appeared in Jell-O promotional booklets and church cookbooks throughout the 1950s and the 1960s, promising home cooks a side that was both easy to prepare and impossible to ignore. The marbled dairy gave each slice a creamy bite, balancing the sweet tart lime with just enough richness to keep you curious. While many of these rings faded away as fresh salads rose in popularity, the emerald salad ring has found a second life as a kitschy icon on Instagram, where retro food fans recreate its vivid look for modern tables. It is a conversation piece, a playful nod to mid-century style, and the kind of dish that makes you wonder why we ever stopped making edible centerpieces. Number 2, Watergate salad. This dish could only have been born in the era of pistachio pudding mix and kitchen shortcuts. In 1975, Kraft introduced instant pistachio pudding, and almost overnight, church bulletins and potluck tables filled with this mint green concoction. The recipe is pure 1970s convenience: pistachio pudding, canned pineapple, mini marshmallows, Cool Whip, and a handful of chopped pecans. Some families called it green stuff, others simply salad, but the name Watergate salad stuck thanks to a wave of cheeky newspaper columns riffing on the political scandal of the day. Its pastel color and fluffy texture made it a hit with kids and a staple for family gatherings, especially when time was short and dessert needed to travel well. For those who remember, it is a sweet, nutty bite of nostalgia and the ultimate symbol of an era when anything could be called a salad if you added enough Cool Whip. Cranberry jelly centerpiece was more than just a side. It was the heart of Thanksgiving for countless families, a dish that turned simple cranberries into a work of art. Every year, someone would reach for the battered ring mold and the recipe card, edges curled and stained with years of use. The base was always tart cranberry, sometimes sweetened with orange or pineapple, and often crowned with a swirl of whipped cream or a dollop of sour cream for extra richness. Some grandmothers tucked in chopped walnuts, others added a splash of sherry or a hint of cinnamon, turning the mold into a signature as unique as a family crest. Stories from old recipe boxes tell of kitchen debates over the perfect set and the gentle pride of unmolding a flawless, glistening ring onto the good china. When canned cranberry sauce took over in the 1980s, these homemade centerpieces faded away. But for those who remember, the ritual was as important as the feast itself, a reminder that tradition, creativity, and a little bit of love can turn even a humble berry into the star of the table. Maybe it's time to bring back the centerpiece, and with it, a piece of our own family story. Across all 25 vanished side dishes, one truth emerges. Thanksgiving tradition is always evolving. Each forgotten recipe reflects its era, wartime ingenuity, mid-century convenience, and regional pride, reminding us that what feels timeless was once new and daring. Today, our table is shaped by memory and change. Reclaiming these lost flavors isn't just nostalgia, it is a way to connect generations. Which dish would you bring back to your Thanksgiving? Share your memories in the comments below.